Good morning everyone. I am T. Dube and the cover of this book is showing the title of my recently published book, Objective English Easy to Hearts. You can see from the title itself you can understand that this book will take your understanding from easy to high order thinking skill questions. I am showing you how you can not only solve any question based on grammar, vocabulary, idiom, phrases, but you can predict most of the questions with the help of techniques that I have written in my book. This is class 3 and we are going to discuss rule number 16 to 21 from unit 1, subject verb agreement, followed by analysis of a practice set that will be difficult. Means whatever we have done earlier in practice set number 1 and 2, today's analysis will be more difficult. So let us move to the rules first and then the analysis part. Now look at rule number 15 and let us understand it. A phrase of measurement takes a singular verb. So when we are using measurement like 10 miles, then the following verb is singular. Like we say 2 and 2 is 4, or 5,000 rupees has been stolen. So here 5,000 rupees is a measurement because it is talking about an amount. Look at rule number 16 now. The noun whereabouts is uncountable, but it can take either a singular or a plural verb. For example, his whereabouts is still unknown and their exact whereabouts are still a mystery. Moving on to question number, rule number 17. When an infinitive, gerund or clause is used as a subject, it is followed by a singular verb. So this rule needs your greater understanding because here we are talking about some special subject, not usual subjects. Now let us consider these examples, then you will be understanding it better. To keep everyone happy is next to impossible. So what is the subject here? It is this infinitive part. You must be knowing that true plus basic form of the verb is called infinitive. So here it is working as a subject and therefore the following verb is singular. Smoking is injurious to health, yet people do. So here smoking is gerund. What is gerund? A gerund is a form of verb that ends with ing, as you can see here, smoking, and functions as a noun. So here it is functioning as a noun. So when a gerund is used as a subject of a verb, the following verb is singular. Now look at question number, example number 3. What you just said was beyond my understanding. Please pay attention. So here this part, what you just said, is actually a clause, subordinate clause. And when a subordinate clause is used as a subject of a verb, then the following verb is singular. So is the case of the last example also. What I am today is all due to my parents. So this part, what I am today, is a subordinate clause. So here a subordinate clause is functioning as a subject of this verb. Therefore, the following verb is singular. Now let us move on to these two rules. After there, the verb agrees with its complement. It needs your attention. As you can see, both the examples are beginning with there. There is a big hole on your coat. So here is singular and here were is plural. Why? Because the following part, a hole, is a complement of this verb. So here verb is agreeing with the complement and not with there. Here also the subject of word is 25 participants. Now look at rule number 19. It is one of the most important and useful rules of this chapter. Let us read and understand with the help of examples that are given over here. First, let us read the rule. It says, when a noun or when a phrase or adjective clause comes after the noun and modifies it, the verb agrees with the first subject. What does it mean? A phrase or adjective clause. Look at example number 1. This noun you see is the subject, and this verb you see is the finite verb. So between the subject and finite verb, you can see a part here. This part is an adjective phrase. So verb agrees with this subject. It means if it is singular, verb is singular. As you can see, this women word is singular. Therefore, this verb is singular. You have to understand all these examples on the same pattern. Look at example number 2. Many trees along the main road were cut down. So here many trees is the subject. Were cut down is the verb, and you can see this verb is in the plural because here many trees is a plural subject. So if I ask you what is this part, you will say it is an adjective phrase. Moving on to next example. Your decision to leave your job was not right. Again, you can see here this verb is singular and its subject is your decision. So what is the part coming between the subject and the verb? It is an adjective phrase. An adjective phrase is a phrase which says something, which adds something about the noun. So here it is adding something about decision. Moving on to the next rule. Her refusal to pay debts has landed her in trouble. So your verb, as you can see, is in the singular because its subject is singular, this subject. So if I ask you what is this part coming between the subject and the verb, you will have to say it is an adjective phrase. Moving on to these examples. Let us consider these two examples. The last example. The news that Prashant's wife beats him is true. So here this verb is singular and this part, this is subject. So what is happening here? The news word is singular. Therefore the given verb is singular. If I ask you what is this, the part that is coming between the subject and the verb, here you have to say it is an adjective clause. Now you may have a confusion regarding what an adjective clause is. I will discuss it in post modifier chapter in detail, but for time being you have to understand that as there is an adjective to describe a noun or pronoun, likewise a phrase is a group of words that describes a noun or pronoun. Likewise, an adjective clause has a subject and a verb and does the same work like a simple adjective. So this is you have to understand. So you can understand that an adjective cannot disturb the relation between the subject and the verb. Moving on to rule number 20. Now look at rule number 20 and let us understand it. A verb following a relative pronoun agrees with the person and number of the antecedent of that relative pronoun. So first of all, you will have to understand what an antecedent is. In simple language, if I write here, let me write Here what an antecedent is, you note it down. We can say an antecedent is a noun or pronoun to which a relative pronoun refer. To which a relative pronoun refer. What does it mean? Let me explain it with an example over here. If I say, this is the man who helped us yesterday. Let us consider this example. So when you are saying this is the relative pronoun, and you know that a pronoun comes for some noun or pronoun. So what is this noun, what is this pronoun coming for? It is coming for, or it is showing relation to this man. Therefore this man word will be called the antecedent of this relative pronoun. The word antecedent in simple language means that comes before. So here it means the noun or pronoun that comes before that relative pronoun. Hope you understood. Note down and then you pause the video, note down, because I am deleting it. Now look at the rule. So what is happening over here? It is I who am to receive a standing ovation. So here a relative pronoun is coming for I. In other words, I is the antecedent of who. Here this relative pronoun is coming for you. In other words, you can say you is the relative pronoun, you is the antecedent of who. Here this who is referring to they, or in other words you can say they is the antecedent of this relative pronoun. Here this who is coming for two friends. In other words you can say two friends is the antecedent of this relative pronoun. Here this who is coming for a king. In other words you can say a king is the antecedent of this relative pronoun. Now you have to understand that the verb following a relative pronoun agrees with the person and number of the antecedent. It means I am is coming for I, are is coming for you, start is coming for they, have is coming for two friends, and was is coming for a king. This is the concept of this rule. Hope you have very clearly understood. Now moving on to rule number 21. With one of those and who, we use a plural verb, but the only one of those who takes a singular verb. What does it mean? Let us understand with the help of the examples. I am not one of those who give up under pressure. So here give is plural. Why is it plural? Because it is one of those. But in the next example, Rakesh is the only one of those. So here only word has been added before one. Therefore, the verb is singular. So the difference between the two rules is only of only. It means if only word has been used before one, then the verb will be singular. If only is missing before one, then the verb should be plural. Now, these are the 21 rules that are included in the first chapter. But after these rules, I am taking you to a trick called surefire shortcut trick. You have to think about it, you have to remember it, and you have to learn how to apply it. Let me take you to that surefire shortcut trick. Here it is in front of you. Read this very carefully, not once, twice, thrice, but as many times as you can take to internalize the entire concept of this chapter. What I mean to say, once you complete a particular chapter, take your mind back to start and then come to end and make a mind map. This is called thinking. So this surefire shortcut trick will help you think about the entire chapter, and do not move faster. Once your thought process starts developing, your understanding automatically goes up, and it takes time. It takes time. Now let us understand this surefire shortcut trick 1. It says, you have studied that subject and verb agreement refers to the fact that the subject and verb in a sentence must agree in person and number, and as the verb has to change according to the subject, this part must be kept in mind. The error always lies in the verb. Again, in this chapter, because the verb has to change according to the subject, drill it in your mind. The problem will always lie in the verb, but the solution is in understanding the subject. So to detect it fast, that means to find the problem related to subject and verb fast, you need to clearly understand what the person and number of the given subject is. Yes, this is another concept. So how can you do these questions faster? That means in competitive examinations, you have a number of challenges. First of all, you have to take care of accuracy, means there should be maximum accuracy. You will have to take all the competitors in your mind. You have to also take care of time in your mind. So if you know the keyword, you will not be reading the sentence. You will not be reading the problem. You will be knowing. You will be assuming. You will be supposing that the problem will be here. So if you start thinking, you are developing your competitive acumen, competitive skill. So after this trick, you look at this part. You memorize it completely. This formula states subject and verb agreement. If you do not want to read, subject and verb agreement is equal to a subject's person and number. Let us call PN, person and number, plus a verb's person and number. So the more you think, the clearer it becomes and the faster you go. You cannot solve questions fast by memorizing the rules. So you will have to understand it, you will have to chew it, you will have to digest it, and then you have to check your level of understanding by taking up as many questions as you can. Now I am taking to practice set number 3, whose difficulty level is difficult. But keep it in mind that the concept will remain the same. So let me show you how you can analyze even difficult to difficult sets. Now look at practice set number 3, and you can see its difficulty level is difficult. What does it mean? In subject and verb agreement, how do questions become difficult? Think about it. This is what I am going to show you. In this chapter, problems become more complex or difficult because of the complexity of the subject. I repeat, the more complex the subject is, the more challenging the question becomes. But if your concept and understanding is clean, you will be able to easily get it. For example, look at question number 1. How you can do it. Individual members or even the secretary of the club do not have votes. So your first work is to find out the finite verb, which is here. Then start finding the subject. So your problem is because the subject part begins from here and comes till here. What is the subject word? Because the entire group needs to be analyzed. So here you can see there is a conjunction or. And as soon as you see it, just take your mind quickly to that rule that when two subjects are connected with either or, neither nor, or nor, or not only but also, then the verb agrees with the second subject. That means the subject which is closer to the verb. So, but here also there is a problem. Even the secretary of the club. So what is happening over here? The subject word is the word secretary. Because I have already taught in the previous classes that any noun or pronoun coming after preposition does not function as a subject. So this club word is to be ignored. Now, because secretary is singular, therefore this verb should also be singular. Moving on to rule number 2, to question number 2. Think about it. Initial improvements in appearance is promising, but data on long-term outcome are not yet available. Full stop, no error. Now, apply the same approach. Find the finite verb 1 and 2. Find the subject. What is the subject of this verb? Again, you will have to analyze this phrase. Again, very easy. Here you can see a preposition. So you have to ignore this part. It means subject of this verb must be here, and you can clearly see improvements word is plural. So because the subject is plural, the verb should also be plural. So there is problem in the verb. In place of is, it should be are. Moving on to question number 3. On the porch of the museum is a steam locomotives and 4-wheel drive municipal vehicles. Very standard question. Let us analyze it. Finite verb of this question is this, which is singular. Now let us find out the subject. If you look left hand side carefully, then you can see there are two prepositions. There are two prepositions. And you know it very well that a noun or pronoun coming after a preposition cannot become the subject. That means my subject is not left hand side or before the verb. I'll have to move right hand side. It means the subject has been inverted, which is steel locomotives and 4-wheel drive municipal vehicles. You can see here and has been used, and you know it very well that when two nouns are connected with and, they become plural, and even if it is not here steam locomotives, it is a plural. It's a plural subject. So my verb should be plural. So here is wrong. In place of is, it should be are. Moving on to question number 4. My wife and I am going to take early retirement to spend our quality time with our children. Let us find out the finite verb. Am going. What is the subject here? I. Remember, I is the first person singular number, but its subject is connected with and, it means it's plural. It means the verb should be plural. So in place of are, in place of am, it should be are. Moving on to question number 5. Almost all important festivals in the house was fantastic and my father would make an enormous effort. Full stop, no ready. Moving on to our first step. Find out the finite verb, which is was. Now let us find out the subject, whether it is left hand side or right hand side. So here see, almost all important festivals in the house. There is a preposition coming over here. And the noun or pronoun coming after the preposition cannot be the subject. It means my subject lies somewhere here. You can see these festivals word is my subject because all these three words are adjectives. Almost is adverb, all is determiner, important is adjective. So here festivals word is my subject and it is plural. Therefore subjects pn plus a verbs pn. That means my verb is problem. It should be were. Moving to question number 6. Every news agent or corner store are full of options like these, but they are expensive. Now let us apply. So here the verb is are. It's plural. Let us find out the subject. There is no preposition over here. So every news agent or corner store. So here corner store is my subject, which is singular. So you know, subjects person and number plus verbs person and number. That means my verb is wrong. In place of are, it should be is. Moving to question number 7. Thousands of people come from all sides armed with implements of damage and destruction. Now finite verb come. Subject thousands of people. There is no other finite verb. My subject is plural. My verb is plural. That means the sentence contains no problem. A subject's pn plus a verb's pn. That means a subject's person and number plus a verb's person and number. Moving on to question number 8. The rules and regulations of the game was explained to them and even some basic tips were given. What is the finite verb over here? Was. What is the subject? Rules and regulations. This part is not to be considered because it is a prepositional phrase. Verb is singular. Verb is singular here. So here my verb is singular. So because it is singular and my subject is plural, so there is problem in the verb. What should be correct? It should be were. Moving on to question number 9. Acknowledged as an occupational disease, lead poisoning or a disabling illness. Now, acknowledged as an occupational disease. This is actually an adjective phrase. I will be explaining it later on. Lead poisoning or a disabling disease. So here are is my finite verb. It is plural. What is the subject? Lead poisoning. And you can see lead poisoning is singular. So my verb should also be singular. So in place of are, it should be is. From the dawn of Stone Age, tools to the height of culinary technique, man have enjoyed his soup. If you look at this sentence carefully and find the finite verb, your answer will automatically come out. Have enjoyed. So have enjoyed is plural. What is the subject? Man word. And it is singular. Now you can see subject is singular, verb is plural. That means there is problem in the verb. So it should be has. Hope you have understood it. And this book has one more set, that is called high order thinking skill questions. Now I am going to show you how can you solve even high order thinking skill questions also with the help of the concept and surefire shortcut trick. Now look at practice set number 4 and you can understand the level of questions that I have provided in this practice set. Each question demands a lot of understanding, but if your concept and the given technique surefire shortcut trick is clear to you, you will find that your thinking level has totally gone up. So I am giving you quick hints and you try to explain these questions on your own. You read it first of all on your own, find out the finite verb and then pause the video, check it and explain. Look here, there are 2 finite verbs in this sentence. In short, most of us were sad and we had lost perhaps 90% of our most vigorous and active young men. So these had lost and was are the 2 finite verbs in this question. What is the subject of this finite verb? We do not need subject of this because this verb is in the past perfect tense and we do not need agreement with the past perfect tense because it shows time and any singular or plural subject can be used with it. Now question number 2, find out. It argues that observation and experience is keys to constructing and judging scientific theories. I'm giving you one step. This is the finite verb and here there is another finite verb. This finite verb is singular, as you can see S, and here also it is S. Here it is also singular. So subject of this finite verb is it and subject of this finite verb is this particular part. You have to explain why this verb is wrong. Why this verb is wrong. And I am giving you a hint. Here you can see and is connecting 2 nouns. So you have to think, if observation and experience are indicating to a single idea or 2 separate ideas, think over it. Question number 3. Patients only at few hospitals in the country feels really satisfied with the service they receive. What is the finite verb? The finite verb of the sentence is feels. So patients only at a few hospitals in the country feels really satisfied with the service they receive. Here there is another finite verb, receive. This is plural, this is singular. Now subject of this verb is this they. No problem, this part is clear. Now check it. Subject of this verb lies somewhere here and I am giving you a hint. There is a preposition here. You can see there is a preposition and a noun or pronoun coming after the preposition is to be ignored. Now find out the subject part from here and explain it in your own words. Moving on to question number 4. This reticence means silence. According to another fashion expert, are partly reverse snobbery. Snobbery means your arrogance, you can say. So here are is plural and let us find out the subject. Subject is, for your understanding, it lies somewhere from here to here and you have to find out single word. I am giving you a hint. There is a preposition here. So your subject will lie somewhere here. Find out why this verb is wrong. Question number 5. Women who go for dress fittings at high street retailers often gets poor advice. Okay. So there are 2 verbs here. finite verb 1, finite verb 2. Now, what is the subject of this finite verb? Who. Now you see this who is a relative pronoun and its singular, plural, person depends on its antecedent. This women word is its antecedent. So first of all, you have to think whether this verb is right or wrong. Next, what is the subject of this verb? Gets is singular. And I am giving you a hint. Its subject is not from here to here. So if the subject is not from this point to this point, then this part is the subject. Why is it subject? Remember, the noun followed by an adjective, phrase or adjective clause. That applies here. Moving on to rule number 6, question number 6. The comments are published on the Danish Army website which were on Facebook. Now, finite verbs are published and were. So, here the subject of this verb is the comments word. Now you have to find out whether this verb is right or wrong, and here there is a relative pronoun. So what happens when a relative pronoun is the subject of a finite verb? You have to see the antecedent, and antecedent of this relative pronoun is website. Now think whether this verb is right or wrong. Moving on to next question. Question number: sickness level at Burley Council needs to be tackled more rigorously or the situation may aggravate. Here there are two finite verbs, may and needs. Now I help you. Subject of this verb is may, and moreover we do not need agreement between a subject and a finite verb. So whenever you are getting a modal verb, ignore it. Now, what is the subject of this verb? Again, I am giving you a hint. There is a preposition over here. And note it that a noun or pronoun coming after the preposition is to be ignored. So what is the subject between these two words? And why is this verb is wrong? Explain it in your own words. Moving to question number 8. Buying the club extra time for repayments are the last piece in the financial jigsaw, according to the chairman. This is the finite verb. Now, what is the subject over here? The subject word lies somewhere from this point to this point. And this word is the subject. What is it? It is a gerund. So do you remember, if a gerund is the subject of a finite verb, will that verb be singular or plural? Explain and find out the answer. Now, number 9. Police across the country is solving less than 1 in 5 crimes, but is claiming that the incidence of crimes have been controlled. Now there are 3 finite verbs in the sentence: 1, 2 and 3. So you have to find out whether this part is wrong or right. You remember the police, people, poultry, cattle, vermin are plural. So what should it be? And question number 10. Being physically active also help, and a morning run, ride, or swim really gets those feel-good hormones pumping and keeps those cortisol levels down. One of the most difficult questions of this set. Finite verb. Help. Finite verb. Feel. Finite verb. Keeps. This is plural. What is the subject? Subject is this part being. And I am giving you a hint. It is a gerund. So is this verb right or wrong? Find out. Now, after you have given your explanation, here are the answers. And take a picture. Here is your explanation. Take your picture and match your explanation. Like this, I will take your journey of training from beginning to the end of this book. Hope you must have enjoyed. After this, we will move to the next chapter of this book, that will be tenses, and you will enjoy so much that you will realize that you have never read, you have never studied in this way. So hope you must be enjoying the classes that you just studied. So let us analyze that question as well.